Most certainly. With the Braum taken here, though, I'm curious to see what the story is going to be with the Ornn. We've seen Ornn taken away on the opposite side, played into the Braum, despite Braum being a counter because you can stop the Ram charge, but a lot of teams are still happy to take it. They don't mind because it's just a great top laner that can do well with very little economy put into it.
He's got a lot of upfront damage in those early levels, as we see now. Plex going to be locking in the Zoe. Could be going to Morgan, though, in the top lane.
No, I'd be very surprised if it went towards Morgan. I mean, I'd be looking more at like what Knight was doing previously. We saw him yesterday have an insane performance on the Zoe. I think that's what we'd be hoping for here, but I mean, it's Knight. I mean, can you live up to the same story?
Knight's pocket pick makes it look like meta. That's the kind of level you're at with Knight as such. And we saw him coming out of a 1v3, I do believe, and almost getting away with a 1-for-nothing trade. Eventually got taken down, but they didn't throw everything at him. So Zoe is one of those champions that can just be an absolute pain. We'll have to see now exactly what Plex can do with that in that mid lane. As we see the Talia, the Mordekaiser are banned by Team WE, and the Thresh, I would imagine possibly the Nautilus banned here by the side of JDG, or potentially the Leona.
I prefer the Leona in this case. I think she can do okay into the Braum, although you do end up behind that shield in a lot of scenarios with very little support from your AD carry. But we are going to see Aurelia's banned away there, so not wanting to give that over towards Morgan, but he's going to get his hands on the Ornn anyway.
Ornn locked and loaded. And
there we go.
Set is locked. And that is going to be going up to Zoom in the top lane, you would imagine. And right now, JDG, they want to show how it's done because LNG, they didn't get a great run with him out yesterday, and that is a Nidalee. So it's Nidalee jungle coming in for Kanavi. He's almost the only person who plays it in the league. It is definitely his pocket pick with a Kiana mid and a Set up and top.
So the biggest problem that I see here is that you've got very few ways for Set to really get into these team fights. You want that kind of setup. You want something where you can either get the teleport in, but unless you can get a supreme display of talent to knock several people in towards the wall to follow up with the Set ultimate, it's going to be difficult to try and catch out all the different members of WE. Beishang is going to be just running at you with the Olaf. He's going to be separated from the team. Zoe wants to be separated off to the side as well. So not a huge amount of grouping for this set to try and make most of the showstopper.
Leona going to be the final pick there for the side of Team WE. As you can see now, everyone just starting to get their team compositions together. And right now, I'm looking at that set, and I want to see it. I want to see a proper suplex coming and just absolutely rip through the Team WE.
I think what you're going to see is Set try and come in towards the end of fights, because I look towards Varus and look towards Nidalee. A lot of poke on this team, especially as they're trying to, as we talked about, JDG relying heavily on these team fights in and around objectives. If everyone starts to group up there, that poke can be a game changer and swing it one way or the other.
Yeah. Coaches locking hands, locking eyes as they lock champions. And we are going into game one for JDG, looking to continue their momentum, get themselves pushing forward towards those playoff spots, especially early on in the season. It's always good to pick up wins. But for Team WE, a fresh start, like we said, and just an opportunity to silence the haters.
And an opportunity to show what they're capable of up and against what is a very strong top half of the map for JDG. If we see Plex and Morgan come out swinging alongside Beishang and they outright win that top half of the map, I'm going to be very quickly changing my tune against Team WE, because realistically JDG with Zoom, Kanavi and Yagao are almost like the bodyguards to the upper half of the bracket. These are the guys that try to push you out and gatekeep that scenario.
Of course, for Team WE, like you said, they've got a lot of team fight potential. You've got the Aphelios with the Moonlight Vigil. You've got the Call of the Forge God. Olaf should be able to shore up that little bit of mid/early game shortage you're missing. But for Team WE, like you said, this is an opportunity for them.
I want to see how Team WE are going to try and play around these team fights, because they've got fantastic engage. You've got the Leona, you've got the Ornn. In theory, they should just be able to jump onto Team WE or onto JDG and not worry too much about the poke. But they will have to try and play around that Glacial Fissure just a little bit, because that can try and slow down the engage.
Fans are always incredible in China.
Yeah.
They really, really are. I love it. We see WE going for some early aggression and just an early warding session just to make sure they know exactly where Kanavi's Nidalee is going to be, where she's starting, and where she's going to be pathing to. And I like this from Team WE because they really do need this Nidalee to be kept in a cage.
And this is pretty much standard Olaf at this stage when it comes to the invade. The Olaf would try and split the match to vertically jungle, but they found Kanavi.
They jump in, flash away, and now the fight can really ensue as we see Yagao jumping in as well. So this is going to be a full 5v5 at level 1. Heal in, flash down, ignite, tick, tick, boom, and that's going to be Aphelios picking up the first blood. Azuma has now jumped in with a massive AoE, and Leona is traded back. It's a 1-for-1. Flash in from Loken. He is not done yet. It's a double kill. Will it be a triple? Almost certainly going to be done, and that is 3 quick kills to JDG.
It's all gone wrong for WE. They tried to go for the invade, but even with them layering the CC so well, Zoom on this set has the Haymaker, has built up that grit shield. True damage sweeps through WE, and Kanavi will pick up the red buff with 3 kills for Loken.
That was a play.
It was interesting.
It was interesting. I don't like using that word, but it was in fact interesting. And overall, JDG, and you can see here that this is 100% Team WE forcing this.
And you think this is going to work out, but unfortunately there's not an awful lot of follow-up CC. You do get the trouble bubble into the follow-up here from Morgan. The heal comes through. Lu Mao manages to just about escape to force everyone else further into the team fight. And that, right there, that Haymaker was the big game changer. That was what you'd expect from Muhammad Ali fight. Take them down, put them into the ground, and it's Loken who picks up all 3 kills.
Fun little fact. Haymaker actually comes from people who used to harvest hay, from how they used to have to swing their sights to actually get enough to put into a barrel. And it became part of boxing, or how you throw a punch, because of just how powerful you have to throw it.
I feel like it's not quite a Haymaker though if it's a straight line. I always get a Haymaker as more obviously the rounded motion.
Well, yeah, you got to like you swing at it.
Yeah, he's just got a straight line motion, just
That's
all
true.
the damage in the line.
Could be David Haymaker.
True.
Yeah. A couple of boxing references there for you, ladies and gentlemen. But now
I feel like we're letting our non-boxing show.
Yeah,
I named one boxer, Muhammad Ali. He's one, right? Like that's all we got here.
Conor McGregor, he's not a boxer, but anyway, moving swiftly onwards. JDG already have themselves a lead, but again, we talk about this a lot of the times, is what they can use with that lead that is very important. Where do you want to see them pushing with Kanavi? Right now, it just looks like he's happy just to keep farming.
I would love to see Kanavi try and get in and influence the bot lane a little bit more. You've got 3 kills there, a Vamp Scepter already picked up. Just push that advantage a little bit harder, and then you can start to rotate towards this Infernal Drake. Make sure you've got control of that objective. Once you've got that, well, then it's a very easy one. Start that snowball going, pick up the Rift Herald, start this back and forth across the map where you're playing off of Loken and Lu Mao to make sure you're winning.
WWE need to try and... My God, crowd is agreeing with me right now. That is just some disgusting amount of damage.
So the big problem with Set when you go to try and trade with them is building up that true grit and then applying the Haymaker means you get such a large shield that it's pretty tough to try and equal out in the trade opportunities. That's what we're seeing from Morgan right now. Despite Ornn, and a lot of people complain about Ornn, how much damage he doesn't have anything on Zoom right now, because of the amount of damage and the shields that are built into Set's kit.
And for Zoom, it is going to be a situation of split push the way until the... Very similar to Fiora's playstyle. You split push quite a while, and then, like you said, come in for the flank, the clean-up duty, the janitor's job. How do Team WE contain him? Is it just going to be... does it eventually get better? Does it get worse?
You have to control the wards. Otherwise, you're giving a free in for Zoom with that teleport. But it is, again, setting up early for the objectives, making sure that you're not getting flanked by Set. Because if he can't find a way to get that showstopper into a decent position, well, then he's only sending himself further into the team and not really having the follow-up of the rest of the team, particularly when you're looking at the likes of Nidalee. Not exactly someone who wants to try and get into these fights early. She's more looking to poke. So if Zoom is heading in too early, it's easy for WE to turn, kill the Set, and then deal with the rest of the team.
Missing here, and a little bit unfortunate on the timing there. Felt like he held that just a little bit too long, but with the information that the bot lane from Team JDG has gone down, they've gone back, I should say. I'm going to hold it there as we see the Supreme display of talent. The Ignite goes in. And they're able to get the Sleepy Trouble Bubble and get out, so Plex will survive, but Team WE will pick up the Infernal Drake.
And this is a mistake from JDG. We already talked about how they should be the ones that are in control of the bottom side of the map. Utilizing the back timer, WE picked that up, and now there's nothing on the bottom side of the map to force WE out. They can just play underneath their turret. They're happy to farm up and get Aphelios to 2-3 items where he can actually be relevant in these team fights and not look to fight Loken and Lumao whatsoever.
Dragon does go over. Next one's going to be an ocean, so it is going to be a cloud or mountain dragon soul that ends up spawning, and dragon or rift as well. So curious to see which one that one will be. But like you said, Team WE capitalizing on the fact that the bot lane had taken a reset, get themselves a nice little bit early Infernal Drake. Now that won't mean a lot in the early game, but it's an investment in the future.
It does mean that it's just, again, taking the timer away from JDG, where they can start to try and force WE out or to fight for them, but it's a pushing back again when you can look towards those third drakes for JDG. You'd imagine that with the 3 kills onto the Varus, when it gets to, 10 minutes where we have that next Ocean Drake spawning, they will still be in control, but it means that they don't have to fight for longer and longer and can find more opportunities to equal out the goal difference.
Beishan now revealing himself on that pink ward, but clearing it anyway, so we'll be able to put down a little bit more darkness around this bot side. And Team WE, I like this from them. They've slowed the game down a little bit. It's very, very easy. We've seen it in so many games throughout history where one team will get such an early advantage from a botched level 1 invade, and they just run away with the game. But Team WE, they've slowed it down. They've made a little bit of headway with the Dragon as well to try and pick up some kind of those stats. Overall, not a bad response this early on.
I want to see what this Nidalee can do, because I nearly feel like, obviously Nidalee's more of an invade-style champion. Clear your jungle, get in and take away the camps. Olaf does something very similar, though, where he clears incredibly fast, and I don't see a way for Knavi on the Nidalee to try and outpace him too much as this game goes on. I feel like when you get towards the later stages, then Nidalee does tend to fall off quite a bit, but here's the play.
Oh, missing is right there as well, and there's just nowhere for Yagao to go. He will flash over, but flash straight back in. Missing will pick up that kill. WE just quicker on the play.
And this is something that we talked about in our pre-segment was, now the supports are getting involved. At 8 to 9 minute mark, they start to roam out onto the map and make the big plays in around mid. Thanks to that play, not only do they pick up the Dragon, now they're able to pick up the Rift Herald as well.
Varus and Braum are rotating up for JDG. I don't think Team WE can really go for this, as there will be a collapse, which means that JDG might just go straight for this objective, and honestly, they can just take it.
Aphelios staying put. Jomeng not wanting to get involved, wanting to farm up and try and get themselves back after Loken picking up those 3 kills is now going to hurt them. We'll have to see how JDG are going to utilize this Rift Herald, though. It's still early days, still a lot of places where they can try and pick up the turret plating. My idea would go up towards the top lane, try and get Zoom with a bit more gold under his belt, so we can again start to punish Morgan further and further on this Ornn and have Set be your win condition. Split push to victory and then try and join these team fights where it suits you.
Excited for now to see Zoom on this set and see how much of an impact, like you said, he can have if they do pop up that Rift Herald on the top side, see if they can get him rolling a little bit faster. You can see the general build for Set is towards that Black Cleaver, then generally towards more split pushing like a Ravenous Hydra, something like that, or possibly a Titanic Hydra.
I think there's still a lot of talks about what is actually the best Set build. I mean, when we saw Set, we're like, this guy makes sense, Triforce, why not build it on him? A couple of people have been building that. We did see yesterday for Flandre, as he said, going for the Black Cleavers, the Titanic Hydras, so I think it does kind of depend on what does the game suit, but Zoom is realizing, I need tankiness, I want that CDR reduction, I'm going to go for the Black Cleaver in these early stages.
And the beauty of Set as a champion is with that, true grit, he does become so unbelievably tanky in those later stages with the added extra shield he gets as well, based on and also the regeneration he gets based on his missing health. He kind of almost gets a little bit of a mini Warmogs almost towards the late game.
That right hook also does a substantial amount of damage. It has 800% attack speed, which is quite fast, but it's when you get onto
compared
turrets,
to
his left hook. But when it does get on towards towers, that really does get through them quite quickly. So you are looking at, almost the same, that Trick 2G style of play, the Volley Bears and the Udyrs.
Like I said, that is the big weakness, of course, from the side of Zed, is that he can be just kited incredibly efficiently. If you can just get him away, make sure he has no flash, he can't really get on top of you without fully committing his ultimate. And even then, his ultimate is a fairly short range. He needs to be quite close to you at the start.
So I'm looking at this bottom lane. Blade of the Rune King already completed for Loken with this Ocean Drake available. Very difficult for WE to push in right now. We already talked about the poke that can come out from Kanavi and Loken. It's only going to be so much worse because of how far ahead Loken is.
Loken was too far ahead there for a little bit. Getting himself caught. That's a flash down, but that doesn't mean there is no ultimate for Aphelios as well. So there's a little bit of a trade of cooldowns. You will still take that off your Team WE, and you can see JDG, they're trying to kind of position themselves around this dragon. I don't really know if they can look for anything except the steal, and you can see they were just throwing a javelin and seeing what happened. A
rookie mistake for me, not remembering that Aphelios does everything. So that poke did work out. Oh, Solar Flare.
Solar Flare does not land, but that was because Kanavi had to flash. Trouble Bubble doing what it needs to do and just being an absolute nuisance. And Team WE, they're starting to crawl this game back, starting to push the buttons of JDG. That level 1 was just a fluke in terms of the eyes of WE, and they're feeling strong coming into this mid-game.
And this is what we're seeing previously from JDG. They do get these advantages, but they're not sure how to work with them. I think here the Nidalee isn't really lending itself to that, but they are trying to make some plays on the bottom side of the map for WE to equal out that scoreline.
You see Morgan just going to charge himself away. They have got the Rift Herald available, and you can see Morgan does not want anything to do with this top side, so they're going to try and go for a trade. Now, we talked about this a little bit, about the Rift Herald trade 3 for 1. I don't know if this is worth it for the side of Team WE. They need someone to deal with this Rift Herald in top side.
They are going to have to send someone back. They're going to try and trade it, but as you said, 30 seconds was all it took to sweep through those turrets. Zed is going to back away, so they're not going to try and follow through, but
Lumao has to go golden, otherwise he would have ticked down from the Ignite. The heal comes out as well. There's the Supreme Display of Talent, and Beishang is deleted. Teleport comes in as well, and we're going to see another failed engage there coming out from the side of Team WE. It's all gone wrong, as Morgan's forced to flash away after teleporting in. Zoom is hunting, though. Zoom is looking. Zoom has been put to sleep, and Zoom will have to get himself back out. But overall, it is JDG again coming out on top.
Kanavi did work there on Morgan before he was able to teleport in. You can see that horrible moment where you've realized the mistake you've made, because I'm stuck here, I'm teleporting, but I'm getting my health bar whittled away at. By the time Morgan gets down there, there's very little the Ornn can actually do. JDG do a good job of turning that around from what looked like a fairly dire straits.
Very old change in teleport, uncancelable, and you can see now in the replay, this just looks like an over force from the side of Team WE.
I was expecting this to go fantastically for them. When you've got Beishang there, you can go in, missing as well, but unfortunately they go in that little bit too far without the minions, and it means that it's all a bit disjointed here. Beishang tries to finish off Lumao because they think we have to get that opportunity. Jumeng tries to do the same as well, and they, as you said, overextend, give over too much, and Morgan has to flash out the second he arrives thanks to Kanavi.
Ooh, so close from hitting that Winter's Bite. Again, JDG looked like they were starting to slip away a little bit. Looked like Team WE were starting to come back, but an overforce again from Team WE, similar to how the level 1 went again as well. They overforce something and they just get hard punished for it. And JDG, they reap the rewards because top lane took a bit of damage as well. They were able to reset that wave so that Zoom didn't miss out on a lot either. They just gained just so much.
Zoom also got all of the turret plates in the top lane before it went down as well. So this set is becoming a massive nuisance. Black Cleaver already completed for them. They're going to be very difficult for Morgan to try and deal with. That cooldown reduction is perfect for him. 16 seconds on his W and his E at level 1, so every bit of cooldown reduction helps.
You can see now Zoom getting jumped in on top of, but both ultimates used by Team WE and only a flash for Zoom. But that's good signs for Team WE. They're forcing out summoners.
That's the problem with Seth, though, you can see right there. Very squishy. Does have that shield to help him out, but if you're not going to throw out the Haymaker, your health bar can just dwindle in a second. This is why when it comes to team fights, it really depends on how Zoom is going to be able to get into these before he can have an impact.
And you just saw there, one little slow from an undertow from the side of Team WE. That little bit of CC, that little bit of kiting was enough to just force a flash out of him. And you can see JDG happy enough to leave the Rift Herald to go over to the side of Team WE as they start pushing down this bot side. But they need to be careful they don't lose too much.
They're going to start to collapse on this. Rift Herald will deal a decent chunk of damage. They won't be able to follow up to finish off the turn. And this is where we were talking about the difference between old Rift Herald versus new Rift Herald. Old Rift Herald would have been able to take the tower. They could have gone in aggressively with that push. But unfortunately, with the reduced health on the Rift Herald, WE aren't as confident to move in and try and force the mid lane turret down.
I haven't really spoken about it because there's just been so much to talk about given how the early game went and of course Seth being locked in. This Nidalee pick from the side of JDG, yes, it's just Kanavi's pocket pick as such, but has it made the impact that you would have wanted to see from this guy?
Has got a level advantage, so at least he's getting a little bit of something, but this is the problem I think with Nidalee, is you're trying to set the enemy jungler behind, and that's not really working out so far for him, as Beishang is on the Olaf and able to do a decent amount of farming, so you're not able to steal away a huge amount. I think it was more to get some sort of AP damage into the jungle so they could give the Orianna, or sorry, not the Orianna, sorry, the Kiana into the mid lane. Too many I's and A's in there.
Sounds like an Irish name.
I know, definitely, yeah. Siobhan, Kiva, whatever you want to go with. But here we go, Plex trying to see if he can land the Sleepy Trouble, try and get some of the Paddle Star damage down.
You can see JDG do not want to let this one go over. This would set up a Dragon Soul timer for the side of Team WE. Team WE, however, are not really in a position in vision or in just position to be able to go for this. As I say that, though, they have got the ultimates available. Dragon goes down in favor of JDG. Now the fight ensues. There's going to be a straightaway jump in. And that is the showstopper you wanted to see from Set as the fight is just being taken to Team WE. JDG get the Dragon. They get 2 kills.
That was a super suplex straight into the middle of the team, and WE drop like flies. Now JDG can start to set up in this mid lane, and the beauty of their composition is there's going to be spears and arrows flinging in right, left and center, which means they can't defend this turret, especially if Yagao is threatening on the right hand side.
There we go. Let's see if they can go for something else. There's a lot of damage that, unfortunately for Team WE, was blocked by the Unbreakable, which means they will lose that mid-tier 1. And JDG, you can see them now starting to up the momentum, starting to up the pace, the gears going forward for JDG, and Team WE, they're struggling.
And this was something that I wanted to touch on when we were in Champ Select but didn't get a chance, was a lot of the damage that WE has can be blocked by that Unbreakable, or a lot of the team fighting prowess of WE can be blocked. You've got the Zoe there who's trying to go in with the Paddle Stars. Cool, Braum can get in the way of that. The Ram coming through from the Ornn as well, the Call of the Forge God, that can be blocked. And I think that's what we end up seeing in a few of these team fights, but this was just a good ultimate, Chains of Corruption coming in to set up the showstopper, and I mean, it does as the name says, it ends them there and then.
Stops the fight there and then, and that's the scary thing about taking an Ornn into this, is that was a blind Ornn. They picked that first. They did not know it was going to be a set in that top lane, and the idea is, I suppose, is that you could just kind of mitigate it and use your team fighting with the Leona, with the Aphelios to try and just make it better, or make up for the shortfall. But Set, he's just got such high numbers.
He really does, and this is something that is going to become a bigger factor as this game goes on, because Set will win out on the side lane. I'm going to hold on, though.
Oh, Yagao, he's going to try and hide himself. Will get the ultimate off as well and get himself out as Beishang's forced to flash away. TP used by Zoom, so there's a summoner advantage to the side of Team WE. They did lose the flash off of Olaf. It's Plex now also has to flash himself, so these are small little advantages occurring here for the side of JDG as Team WE forced back underneath their tier 2. As I say that, Zoom needs to be very careful. He gets stunned up. Is they're going to jump on the Gravitum? He's going to jump in straight in, and he turns it right back around. Zoom does just so much damage, and the rest of JDG can just follow up. Ends up being a 1-for-1, but nobody from Team WE is a help bar to stay.
Don't take a knife into a gunfight. Don't take a tank into a fight with Zed, because they're going to turn it straight back onto your face. They drop. JDG pick up the turret, and Zoom is showing what Set is capable of.
That is the beauty of this champion. That's why it's so exciting to see Set be picked up, because he looked like he was dead to rights, and immediately, as soon as the opportunity came up, he was able to turn it around. The rest of his team pretty much left untouched.
That is a silly amount of damage.
It is
just
crazy.
For
someone so tanky, it is a silly amount of damage.
But this is the big problem, is that Morgan is pretty much giving an in to Zoom in a lot of these team fights. And I thought we were going to look to see, you know, a better setup where Zoom was going to have to come in from the side, try and get some sort of flank off. But Morgan's kind of just walking at them ahead of his team, and Zoom's like, cool, I'll take that and toss you directly into the middle of the rest of them.
8 and 3 in terms of the kills. Slight advantage for Dragons for Team WE, but another one coming up very, very shortly. In JDG, they could get even more tanky stats with those Dragons stacking up. Baron has also spawned as well. We're only 21 minutes into this game. It feels like we've been here for an eternity. Now, this is what you were talking about. Where do JDG look for this? Where do they go from here? This is the thing you wanted to see them change in their mid-game.
I like what they're doing here, which is getting vision control in this topside jungle. Because if you get hit by a stray Nidalee Spear or even an arrow from Loken as well, who's got that Quincy's Rage Blade completed, chances are you're going to be, you know, in and around that half health mark and be forced to back. Now you can get JDG working with that number advantage off of just little plays in that topside jungle.
There's a 6,500 goal lead. You can see a Bork and Guinzu's already finished up there for Loken, having a pretty fun time on this Varus. I wouldn't particularly say he's having a fantastic solo display, but he's definitely picking up the kills, and that's all that matters.
I am not liking how many people JDG are sending down towards this dragon, though. Realistically, you could have Zoom finish that off himself, shove in that bottom lane, then come back towards dragon while the rest of the team controls the Baron area. And this is where I'm seeing JDG roaming constantly as his 5-man squad, not trying to utilize their side lanes or the advantages that they gain through Zoom or Yagao.
Oh, they might have found themselves a catch. Still, though, bit of distance between Aphelios and the rest of JDG. And like you said, they kind of just gave up, or, you know, really forfeited a lot of that vision control they had just fought for, and it's not they have to do it again now, so that puts another minute or so, or minute or 2 minutes onto the JDG timer of when they can force a fight at Baron or even just sneak it away. Exactly,
and I mean, why weren't you having Kanavi do this to begin with, where the rest of the team is trying to play around that? Or honestly, I would have preferred if Zoom had just finished it and you keep Kanavi there to try and poke down people and force WE to make tough choices when clearing out these these wards in and around the Baron.
See there, Luamao not happy that he missed that ward there, putting up the pouting emote. And right now, they had to back away. This adds another bit of time where the side of Team WE, they can come back into this. And again, we cannot underestimate or understate just how much front-loaded damage can be in Team WE with that Zoe and Aphelios.
That was what I was going to point out was, I mean, if you give enough time, this Zoe will start to become a real menace. Yes, Braum can block some of the damage, but if you miss one of those opportunities, Loken is then in trouble. Or Kanavi's in trouble. This is not a particularly tanky lineup. Yes, Zoom has got some stats from the True Grit, but that's where a lot of that tankiness comes from. The shield. It's not when you get a bunch of up-front damage that he can really deal with it.
The game has just sort of stalled out again. This roaming death ball that is JDG. It's exactly as you said in the pregame. They just roam around looking for another fight, looking for another objective. Now they've started up the Baron. There is no vision though for Team WE.
They want to try and bait out Morgan's teleport here. Is Split pushing the bottom side, and Zoom's nearly has his up. So if they can try and get them to use that summoner spell, they can then have Zoom down in the bottom lane and really make the difference. That is going to be Ornn.
I don't think that's a great little two-man thing there. Say that though, here we go. They're going to jump in with the supreme display of talent. There's the TP coming in as well. They're looking for Zoom to try and get some more damage. Tick, tick, boom. The Olaf goes down, as so does the Leona. And now Team WE full retreat mode as they try and run away from this onslaught of JDG. They haven't got the damage to really take down the Ornn just yet, as he just falls down. But Kiana a little bit overzealous into the Aphelios. They're going to flash in. Loken takes down the enemy AD carry, and JDG end up coming out of that fight 4 for 2.
Ornn was backing to walk up to the rest of the team, so he didn't have to burn that teleport, but the rest of the team, WE, pushed too far in. JDG pounds, and out of nowhere, they're able to get the collapse. That's the beauty of Yagao in and around this top red side jungle. You're able to find multiple different lanes and multiple different walls to get that supreme display of talent, and WE feel it.
And again, we're seeing the same setup where Yagao's jumping in with the supreme display of talent, trying to just get as much people caught in it as possible, and then Zoom goes in with the hard CC.
Yeah, you can see that Ornn is backing here to try and make something happen, but fantastic play from Yagao. Gets the Ragnarok out from the Ornn, sets up Zoom to get a haymaker, and this is the problem with trying to fight in these small corridors. We've repeated it time and time again when you see a Kiana in the game. She loves to be fighting in and around these objectives where there's lots of walls and lots of places for the Supreme Display of Talent to hit. You add a haymaker in on top of that, particularly if you've got enough of your pit grit to make that true damage, you're going to wreck a team.
Positives for Team WE though, as they were able to take down 2 on the side of JDG. It meant that the Dragon, or Baron I should say, did not go down. And that's going to be another potential fight. But this suits JDG. This is kind of what they want, really. They know they're so far ahead. They have the damage numbers. They just need to be a little bit careful that they don't give over too much.
But the problem that I'm seeing right now is Zoom is coming up to try and join the team, trying to see if they can get a flank off Morgan.
Morgan's just deleted straight out of the fight as Beishong is now also have to force a flash over that wall, and that should just spell JDG going for this Baron.
Yeah, Morgan has been caught out quite a bit on this Ornn, walking too far forward, gets caught by the chains of corruption, or has been giving Zoom the opportunity to deliver the Ram God straight into the team. Now JDG turn on towards Baron. WE are maybe trying to contest, but Yageo's behind them.
Yagao is just hovering, hunting. He has been spotted on a ward. Baron down to about 50% HP. Zoom playing bodyguard as he should be, as they see they can try and go for something just big on this backside. Looks like JDG should be able to finish off this Baron pretty damn easily, and they will take down the Olaf as well as Zoom jumps straight in onto the back line of Team WE, and everyone is just falling. Missing has gone missing as he gets taken down as well. It is going to be the ace going over to the side of JDG just as Morgan spawns, and he's the only defense left for Team WE.
And Morgan's going to be the only witness to watch as fires wreak havoc on the base of JDG. They'll be able to take this inhibitor. Might not be able to push on too far, although there's still 20 seconds on Plex. They're going to try and go for the end.
They can most certainly do it. They've got the minion wave, they've got the Baron buff, they've got all 5 members. Morgan is probably going to die just as quickly as he spawned. Beishong can only sit and watch as the tanky members have to see their base crumble. It's going to be JDG taking the first game of this series over Team WE.
And JDG were able to find the team fight victories, and this I think is an awful big problem with people not being ready for a set. You can see Morgan walking forward, trying to be the way you do as a tank, command the space in the team fights, force back the enemy